Excuse me. Shalom, family. Shalom. What's going on? Shalom, family. What's going on? Thank you guys for tuning in. Shalom, family. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. Oh, man. I hope everyone is doing well. Do you have a Yes, I had an awesome time in California, IA, as well as Las Vegas, Nevada. I had an awesome time Friday in Vegas with my brothers, and then we drove down to be with some of my other brothers, drove, shall I say, I guess that's down or sideways, something like that. But we had an awesome time. What's going on? Pastor Whitehead had an awesome time Friday with my brother, Pastor Whitehead, as well as Brother John Williams and my sister Bridget, who is the wife of Brother Hal Robinson. And so had a awesome time fellowshipping and building with my brothers in Vegas. And then after Vegas, I had an awesome time of fellowshipping with Shalom to you as well, Sister Kayla. Awesome time fellowshipping with Sister Aisha, Akote Aisha, bless you as well, you and your family, you and your household. But yeah, Friday was awesome. It was awesome. Had an awesome time just building. Hello, Sister Terry. An awesome time with my brothers on Friday. And then we journeyed and traveled on early Saturday morning to Los Angeles, where we had an awesome time of fellowshipping and laughing, driving. And for me, you know, I don't get a chance to see the mountains and the canyons and the valleys and stuff like that. So it was an awesome view that I was able to experience while driving from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, doing the work of the Most High, and just really just having fellowship and just talking. Y'all see me, I'm a jokester. I love to have fun. I crack jokes. That side, a lot of people that I'm now showing and expressing, because I want a lot of people to see that side, that you can be in this truth and have a good time. We don't always have to just, once you, for some reason, you awaken to your heritage and knowing who you are, and then all of a sudden, everything's so serious, and people lose the great spirit of fun and having a good time. And so that's something that the Father has been dealing with me on for a while, the last 2 years, to show that side of having a good time. But I had a great time. I want to thank my brother, Yisrael Ben Yehuda, who has been adopted by Hebrew Igbo family, who never lost their heritage, never lost their identity, knew who they were, oral and written tradition from Israel to Northeast Africa. And so I had a great time meeting them and just talking as they talked about, we talked about the kingdom and we talked about heritage and all those good things. There was so many people from the west coast of Africa who was so embracing and loving on us. And just the food was magnificent. The whole shebang, man, from just the love from Friday night, it just transitioned over, and we got a chance to meet a lot of brothers and sisters. Now because this was it wasn't a religious or Hebraic event, but it was a lot of brothers and sisters there who were Hebrews as well. But then there were also some Kemetic, other type of belief systems in the place as well, because it wasn't just in Africa. It wasn't just one type of belief system, shall we say. So that was there, but it was all good, all love. Some things, we kind of threw a side eye at, but it was all love with the brothers. But other than that, the camaraderie, just the building, just the fellowship of it. It was just such a great experience for me, and so many open invitations to come to Nigeria. Let me tell you something. Nigeria, the Yorubas, which myself, I gotta, throw a shout out to the Yorubas, and I'm a percentage of Igbo as well. But the Yorubas and the Igbos was deep. I'm telling you, they was deep in the place. I mean, this place was packed out. Y'all saw the pictures. I mean, it was African Americans, and it was Africans as well, from all Cameroon, Senegal. I mean, we're talking about the West, pretty much the whole West Coast of Africa, Ivory Coast, Ghana was in there. But let me tell you, Nigeria, the Igbos and the Yorubas was deep. They were deep. And it was so deep to the host, when they got ready to announce Nigeria, all of the different tribes, the Yorubas, the Igbos, and all them, and some Fulanis, they went nuts. It was so crazy to the host to say, well, I guess, we don't have to ask, who's deep up in here, and whatnot. But I mean, the experience was lovely. It was great. The fellowship, again, it was so many people that were there. We're talking the ambassadors over the African Focus Goodwill Heritage Ceremony, induction ceremony, and award ceremony. It was so many. And I went back and started looking and seeing people who were involved, like last 2017, 2016. I mean, you got people like Blair Underwood, Jim Brown, all of these people they were involved in being a part of the African Heritage Goodwill Awards and induction ceremony, being adopted by those who have the same bloodline as them, to show them the traditions and the language and the history. I mean, seeing some of those pictures of major people, the brother who played in the movie, what was the movie? Birth of a Nation. I can't think of his name, but he was also adopted and whatnot a year or so ago. And so many people involved with it. This is a major event that is huge, and it's only going to get bigger. It was just so much fun. It just felt so just a genuine love. Of course, the king was there, the queen, and there was other royal people, royal families, and dignitaries who were all a part of the induction ceremony. They were given like tribal jewelry and different stuff of that nature. And I want to just definitely say I'm so proud of my brother Yisrael Ben Yehuda, and what the Father has done is truly a blessing. He doesn't have to fight and deal with a lot of the different things, when it comes down to belief system and whatnot. He was adopted by a royal family as well. Prince Wanandu, whose father is a former king, he adopted Yisrael Ben Yehuda after he went through his heritage thing and what in the process in which I have, and many of my other brothers and sisters going through the heritage process, finding their tribe. So they set it up to where there's a family that adopts you, who is of your bloodline, of your lineage and whatnot. And so it was just a blessing for him to be adopted by a prince. It was just some phenomenal things. It was just a lot of things that I'm going to have him come on the live pretty soon and just talk about. And this is not off topic of our discussion today of shifting and stretching. I think that this is all a part of it, and whatnot. Sister Esther, I saw some of Rabbi Akwete's presentation. I didn't get a chance to see all of it because, of course, I was there at that ceremony in California, in which I wish I could be in two places at the same time like the Most High, but I can't. And so I knew that you guys were going to have a great time, a great fellowship, or they were. And the little that I did see online on Facebook Live, it was a phenomenal presentation. Plus, Rabbi Akwete is, we talking about a brother who, knows his stuff. Oral and written tradition, never lost his identity, never lost his heritage, any of that. And who lives here in America and is a great spirited brother, is not so much about just heritage, but he's also about salvation. He's all about the kingdom. He's also about preaching or teaching the world, the nations. All right. Not just focusing on Israel, but at the same time, he was definitely an awesome brother. From what I understand, many people was blowing my phone up about him, coming to James 1:1. And I think that maybe Brother Morris or some of the other brothers, maybe he mentioned it, and Brother Morris them got a chance, or I don't know how it went. All I know is that there was made mention that Equate, and I haven't talked to Equate yet, but there is a serious interest in coming to James 1:1 in Jacksonville, Florida. So we'll see how that goes. And again, I haven't talked to Equate yet. I briefly talked to Brother Morris last night, or Pastor Morris last night. And so I'm going to be talking to them even more. I know it's short notice and we're right up on James 1:1. But we will see how that goes. But so bless everybody who was either in Selma, watched Selma, what saw some of the live because I tried to go live, but everybody was having signal problems in the Western where the event was being held. And then we used their Wi-Fi to log into their Wi-Fi, and for some reason it still wasn't. I tried to get the best footage that I can, and everybody else had the same issue. It wasn't just mine. But I want to talk to you about stretching and shifting. 2017. We talked about, in January 2017, February 2017, started laying out this thing that the Father had been talking to me about shifting in 2017. Just shifting my thoughts, hey, Sister Rebecca, shifting thoughts, shifting mindsets, things that I was doing that I've matured from, or that I've grown from, or where he's transitioning me to. And I was relating that to all of you brothers and sisters in about 2017, about the shift and shifting in 2017. And so it was something that we dealt with. Then in 2018, we started talking about stretching season, because when you shift, there's coming a stretching season, which is a part of the shift. Shalom, Brother Bishop Bashar, and shalom, my brother Robert Bailey. There is a shifting, there was a stretching that comes with shifting. So when you decide to be obedient to the Father and you begin to shift into the direction of things in which he's taking you, being guided by the Spirit, there's coming a point in time when you get in the midst of your shift to where you're going to be stretched. And oftentimes when we look at stretching, you start looking at yourself as far as doing exercises. When you stretch doing exercises, it's very uncomfortable when you first start stretching. And many who understand, who now getting back into the gym and things of that nature, you notice that it's even more difficult when you have not been in that process a long time. And when you go into start that process off, there is a stretching part, or a part where it's stretching and it's hurting and your muscles begin to hurt. And sometimes you may work on, especially if you work on your legs and all these different things, you find yourself having 3-4 days of leg pains because your muscles have gotten comfortable in a certain position and not used to being stretched. And when you start stretching your muscles and trying to get them back into the shape that they were, there comes a part where it's very uncomfortable, to the point to where sometimes even in that process of being uncomfortable, you find yourself giving up. You say, nah, man, I can't do it, man. And the person who's stretching you, the person who's training you, the person who's developing you, saying, one more, come on, give me 2 more. This is how the Father does. If I say, come on, give me 2 more. Give me 2 more. Come on, I need 2 more. And you're like, I can't do it. No. And then when you try to go down to get that 1 more, it's like the hardest push that you ever done, to the point to where sometimes you need somebody to grab the weights to help assist you pull or get your legs back straight. Now, the things you have to understand is that this is the way the Father works. Even though he's telling you, come on, keep stretching, He knows that it comes a point where he's going to have to be there to guide you, to help your legs get back to the up position, to lock the weights back in. And so he's not only telling you and cheering you on, but he's there helping assist you as well. And so you have to understand that in the time of shifting, there comes the shift. And even in the shift, it may not be uncomfortable in the shift, but it becomes uncomfortable doing the stretch. Okay. You decide to shift. You say, you know what? I'm not going to eat the same way I was eating. I'm not going to hang around the same people I was hanging around. I'm not going to do this. But guess what? You decided to make the shift. But all of a sudden, when you shift and you start changing eating, what you're eating, guess what ended up happening? Your body goes through a process of stretching. You're used to, I got to have that cupcake. I got to have this. I got to have that. I got to have that fruit, or I got to have this particular thing. I got to have that. And your body is now battling you. This is what happens during stretching season. When you shift, the pain and the hurt is not in the shift. The shift is getting you into the direction so you can go through the development. In every point of development, there's a stretching season in your development to the point to where it's uncomfortable. Those who were training in the military or go through basic training, in which I've never been in the military at all, but I know it's some brothers and sisters who's probably been in the military before, and we thank you for serving and making sure that we have some form of freedom or from terrorism and all these other things. Okay, so really appreciate you for your sacrifice. But this is the thing: when you go through basic training, from what they tell me, many try to get in shape before they go to basic training, and they find themselves, they've already started shifting their minds and shifting their body before it's time to report to basic training. They've already started shifting their minds. They stopped doing the things that they used to do to prepare, or to try to prepare for the stretching. They know that now that I've enlisted, I have to try to get myself to a place to prepare for the stretch. Shifting is preparing your mind and your spirit for the stretch. Shifting is preparing your mind and your spirit for the stretch. Okay, for the pain, for the uncomfortable state, for all of that, all of those things that you're going to go through once you decide to shift. So when they decide to get in basic training, even though they've changed their minds, they've decided to stop eating, and they decided to even run themselves. Some you see running through the neighborhood because they're trying to get themselves ready. It still does not compare or have them prepared enough for stretching. Stretching comes with a point of being in it. Okay, let me say that again. Shifting your mind and your body and your spirit prepares you for stretching season. This is why the Father asks you to shift first. He don't ask you to stretch first, because if you go out and try to stretch and you haven't prepared yourself, you're going to pull a muscle. You're going to find yourself limping and hobbling, or you're going to find yourself out there by yourself. So what he does is he prepares you. Get yourself, get your mind, get your spirit ready for this stretching. So he starts shifting things in your life to allow you to see that it's time for me to shift. And once you start shifting, because he shows you first, he shows you it's time to shift first. Ultimately, what happens is we have a lot of brothers and sisters who ignore the shift. They ignore when the Father's telling them to shift. And therefore, when the stretching season comes, their mind and their spirit is not prepared for it. And ultimately, they find themselves far behind in the process. Just the same way as the one who goes through basic training in the military, who got themselves together. Many of them who transition first, who shift first, they get through the development process of the stretching season, which is the basic training. Those who decide to ignore shifting, and all of a sudden they just report to duty to go through basic training. Many of them, from what I know and the people I talk to, they don't even make it through basic training because they did not pay attention or embrace the season of shifting to prepare them for the season of stretching. Okay. I'm going to show you here in the scriptures. Okay. So what we have to understand is that stretching is not comfortable. And in fact, many people who you talk to, especially if you watch the NFL, they have this thing called this basic training thing where they go to different teams and they go watch them doing basic training and stuff like that. Or not basic training, but preseason training and off-season workouts and all that kind of stuff, right? So what happens is that you see during the off-season workouts, that determines who endures the stretching process. Your stretching is is either basic training or a training camp in football. That is your stretching. But those who go through the stretching process and endure and make it into their season, listen, I want y'all to check this out. Listen to this. Those who endure the stretching process and make it into the season to play a full season of games, to remain healthy through the season, ultimately making it to the Pro Bowl or ultimately making it to the Super Bowl, they all had to start. They did not start in camp. They did not start in in off-season workouts. They started after the season was over. When it was not required for you to work out, when it was not required for you to show up to basic training or to show up before training camp in football. All right. Those who started their process, those who started shift in the off season. So when they showed up to training camp, they were already prepared for the stretching. When you go look up Jerry Rice, okay? Jerry Rice, go look up Michael Jordan and go look and see and look up Kobe Bryant and go look at their all-season workouts. When the championship was over and they won the championship, they gave their family 1 week of their time. I want y'all to listen to this. They gave their family 1 week of their time. We can go wherever you want to do. We can do whatever you want to do. We can go wherever you want to go for a week. You have 1 week. Even though the season may not start, the preseason or reporting to training camp may not start for 4 months, they're already shifted because there is no off season for those who are constantly knowing that the kingdom requires you to shift. And the kingdom requires you to be in stretching shape. All of us who know, that's why when people ask, when do you sleep? 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 Well, this is the question that many should not even ask, because if you understand the mentality of the kingdom, there is no time for that. There is no time for that. Okay. Give me a second, brother, Shaul. All right. Give me a second real quick. I'll bring you on. There is no time for that. Okay, we have to understand that when the off season is here, you have time to do. The Father gives you time to do things you want to do. He gives you the time for yourself, but you always have to know that the enemy never sleeps. So therefore, you cannot be you have to be on your game. Now let's go to the scriptures. I want to look at this real quick. Let's go to Matthew chapter number 4. Matthew chapter number 4. Okay. Matthew chapter number 4 and verse number 18. Now watch this. Matthew 4 and 18. And Yahushua, also known as Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simon called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. Listen. Here comes the Messiah, the Mashiach. Here comes the Mashiach, just had a confrontation with Hasatan, okay, in which the Spirit drove him into, he went through his shifting process before he went through his stretching process. I need y'all for y'all to hear me here, okay? Before he got to the place where the Father would stretch the Son, I want y'all to listen to this. Before the Father stretched the Son, he shifted the Son before the stretch. What you talking about? What you talking about, Brother Majors? What you talking about? If you notice, he went through his 40-day fast. His fast was his shifting, preparing him for his stretching. Check this out. Listen. His fast, he didn't go through the process of being stretched first. He went through the shifting process first. He shifted his mind and his spirit. He got his mind and his spirit ready. Then it said he was driven in chapter number 4. He was driven by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of Satan. Okay? Now you're about to be stretched. What was the stretching part of it? The stretching part was Hasatan engaging him in spiritual wordplay to see or to go through the process of being stretched. Okay, yeah, I know you are the Son. And the Father has already declared that you're the Son, but that doesn't mean that you can't be stretched either. If the Son can be stretched, then who are any of us? If the Son can shift, who is any of us not to shift? Who are any of us not to stretch, not to be stretched? He is being tempted of Hasatan. And it wasn't Hasatan who decided to say, let me go after him. No, it said the Spirit drove him. The same when we look at Job. And it said, have you considered my servant Job? My servant Job has already shifted. Now I'm going to stretch. I'm going to give you the opportunity to stretch him. It's going to be uncomfortable. But when you've already shifted and your mind and your spirit is ready, it doesn't matter how much the uncomfortableness of the stretch is. I've already shifted before I got to the place that I'm at now. So where I'm at now, tests don't surprise me. Things I see don't surprise me. Things I see don't cause me to conform. Things I see when my flesh is trying to take me out, I don't yield to that, because my spirit man is not just shifted one time, but my spirit man is always in the process of shifting. That's why fasting should be a part of the believer's daily, a part of the believer's life. Prayer should be always a part of the believer's life. When you pray and it's a part of your life, which is probably one of the most powerful weapons that we have that is used the least, prayer is one of the most powerful things that we have, but yet we use it the least. But yet knowledge becomes the replacement for prayer. So guess what? When you are going through something and you're being stretched, you didn't properly process yourself. You didn't properly shift. So now you're in a point or on a period of time of being stretched. It's becoming uncomfortable to you. And ultimately many fall off and many fade away or many backslide because of the fact they could have fought. They could have endured. They could have passed the test. They could have went through the stretching season, even though it was uncomfortable. All of us go through season of stretching. But guess what? Now he's gone through his process of chapter number 4. All right. In the first part of chapter number 4. In verse 18, he comes and now he's meeting his disciples, or who is about to be his disciples. Dig this. The disciples didn't get asked to follow him until he didn't declare to them, follow me, until he went through his shift and his stretching. Oh, miss, So many people want people to follow them and they ain't even shifted and they haven't even been through a stretching, or they've been through a stretching and have not even endured through the stretching, but yet they still trying to ask people to follow them. And what happens is you don't properly prepare and equip the people, because where you did not, where the process that you didn't go through, now you're training and developing others not to be prepared to endure stretching season. You don't even prepare them to shift their minds. And yet Christ did not call his disciples. The Hamashiach did not call his disciples. He did not call his disciples until he shifted his mind. And because he understands, in order for me to lead them, I got to shift my mind. I got to shift my spirit. In order for me to lead them, I got to go through stretching. I have to be proved. I have to make sure that I'm qualified to teach. I have to make sure that I'm qualified to help bring them. So when they going through their problems, when they going through their process of uncomfortableness in their stretching season, then I have a testimony and I have every right, because I've endured through stretching. I've already shifted my mind, and my thoughts are always shifting. So therefore, I know what they went through. Many trying to lead and ain't been through nothing. Many trying to lead and ain't past nothing. You can't lead if you ain't past nothing. And in order for you to be able to get the Spirit to be able to lead, and the Father be able to anoint your words and co-sign and back you, all right, in your process of teaching and leading, you got to be done went through something. You got to be done endured something. You got to be done past something. You got to be done be able to experience what they are going through. So many try to sit up there and say, oh, well, try to figure out, he came as though as we came. Yes, he did, but he wasn't like us. The reason why he wasn't like us, because he did the things and endured the things that we could not do. He did the things and he endured the things. He shifted when many of us are still in old seasons, trying to bring a new season into an old season. You can't do that, man. You can't do that. The Father, we already did a lesson about the cloud. When it's time for the Father to move, the Father said, listen, I gave you ample enough time to shift yourself into where I'm trying to take you. I gave you ample enough time. So guess what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm going to find somebody else who's going to be obedient to doing what I told them to do. All right. You too busy worried about who like you. You too busy worried about how many people you can get to follow you, or how much crowd, how big the crowd is, and all this other stuff. You can you too concerned about how many people I got and how good am I going to look and all this other. And the Father said, I don't care about all that. I'm trying to get you to a place to where you can I can make sure that I can use you properly, but yet you ain't been through your testing season. You ain't tending to the sheep. You don't want to tend to sheep, but you want to lead people. How can you do that, David? David, how can I send you out here to deal with all these wicked nations, and yet you don't even want to put in the time to fight off lions, fight off cougars, fight off bears, fight off tigers, fight off all these things for the sheep, but yet you want to lead, you want to be a king, you want to lead the people. No, David, go back to tending to the sheep, and then when you go through that process, I'm going to shift you. You're going to be king. Hey, disciples, you are fishermen. You know how to catch fish. You don't know how to catch men. I have to teach you and train you how to catch men, because you understand the process. You understand the process of fishing. Fishing for fish is kind of similar to fishing for men, but yet you think that one bait catch them all. And that's where you fail. Now I have to teach you, because I can operate in all five. All right, all five giftings and offices. So let me, because I am the master teacher, let me teach you how to catch people in corporate America. Let me teach you how to catch the boys in the hood. Let me teach you how to catch single mothers. Let me teach you how to catch brothers who've been on lockdown for 25 years. Let me teach you how to reach people who wrongly convicted. Let me teach you how to reach people who lost their mothers and lost their fathers, and now they mad at God about it. Let me teach you how to reach people who dealing with a homosexual lifestyle. Let me teach you how to deal with the crackhead. Let me teach you how to deal with the prostitute. Let me teach you how to deal with all these other areas, but yet you think that I'm a God that only reach and deals one kind of way. And people who have that mentality and that mindset have not shifted their mind, and they have not been through stretching season to know that the Father speaks in the earth. He is in all. And so no matter what or who's speaking, I know that the Father can speak through no matter who he decides to speak through. We limit him in who we think he is speaking through. But let's look at this here. Let's go there. Let's keep reading here. Watch what it says right here. It says, and Yahushua walking by the sea. Many of you say Yeshua, but I have no problem with that. All right. That's fine. Many of you say Jesus. I ain't no problem with that. I'm going to read it as is. Okay. It says, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw, okay. Listen to this. Saw two brethren, Simon called Peter, and Andrew his brother, casting nets into the sea, for they were fishers. Listen, he's watching them. This is the way the Father does. The Father is watching you at your job. He's watching you, how you mingle with people. He's watching you from a child all the way up until you're an adult through your process. And he said, look, oh man, oh man, my daughter is good. She has a love for computers. Oh, my son, he has a love for sports. Now the father, okay, ain't concerned about the sport. The father not concerned about the love for the computers, but the father sees everything and knows everybody. And he starts saying, okay, let me scan throughout the earth. I'm going to move my daughter because the primary area in which she'll work in, the people that I want her to reach, those people are going to be in Massachusetts. So guess what? She lives in Florida. So now I have to create a situation to get my daughter from Florida through her job. I got to create a job opening in Massachusetts because the people that need to hear her voice or the people that need to hear his voice, okay, their ears are assigned to her voice or his voice. So what I need to do, I got to put somebody in the job in place who's going to be obedient to what I'm saying and create an opportunity to open up a job opportunity, okay, and in a department that was not there, that never existed. But guess what? This person is not going to open up the opportunity until 2 years from now. Why? Because that person is coming from overseas. That person had never even been to America yet. But that job over there, because I'm going to connect the dots, is going to merge with the company over here. I'm going to control all of this just to get my daughter or my son from where they're at into the place to where they need to be. Because when they get there, I'm going to cause such a revival, not only in the job, but I'm going to cause such a revival in the city till they're going to go from being the manager to now managing their own ministry, to now managing all this. And guess what? The person who was the vice president of the company is now seeing what you've done inside the company and hear about what you're doing, all right, outside of the company, and decide to step to you and say, how can we help? How can we pour into what you're doing? This is how the Father works. But yet we limit him in our capacity. We sit up there and we start looking at things carnally on the outside and start trying to figure, oh, the Father is. Then you start interpreting what the Father would do and how he'll move. And ultimately, you know, and no man can search the wisdom or the depths of the understanding of the Father. All we can do is make sure that our minds have shifted and our spirits have been stretched to the point to where we know when we see it, our spirit resonates with it and resonates with how he's moving. And I can sit and say, you know what, man, that's the hand of the Most High. And people look at me like I'm crazy until it started manifesting because I saw it before it came into fruition. Okay, that's the thing. Now let's look. He sees them in Matthew chapter number 4 and 18. He sees them fishing for fish. The fish is their training. The fish is a part of their stretching. That's the development process. But guess what? Now you got to take them from understanding how to fish with fish. That's their degree. They are masters. They have a master's and a doctorate degree in fishing. Check this out. They have a master's and a doctorate degree in fishing because he's going to use their training and development in corporate America to reach people for the kingdom. So I'm going to put the principles in them because everybody can't fish. Everybody don't know how to catch fish. Everybody don't know how to use the type of bait that you need to use to catch fish. Okay. But guess what? He sees it. He places it in them, the desire to fish from birth. Because now he's going to choose them at a latter time, in a latter age, to be able to take that and cultivate that thing that they're familiar with, that they have a degree with, and ultimately use it for a place of ministry. Check this out. Look at this. He says, verse number 19, he says, and he saith unto them, follow me, and I will make. That's the key word. Follow me and I will make. You can't, what's in you cannot be cultivated outside of you for the type of work I need you to do unless you're with somebody who's shifted, somebody who's been stretched, because they're not only going to look at you on your outer appearance, but they're going to look at your spirit man and what you've called to do and the voice that the Father has assigned others' ears to. And they're going to look at you and say, hey, he's going to say, Matthew, hey, Esther, hey, Christina, hey, Shantae, hey, brother Nolan, hey, all of you, brother Pierre, and all you brothers. He said, listen, come with me and I'm going to make you fishers of men. I'm going to cultivate. I'm going to take the areas that you're familiar with and I'm going to apply it. But also I'm going to add some more things to it, some more tools, and or bring out the tools or bring out the gifts or bring out the talents in you that you know that you don't know that you have. So the things that is in you that you don't know that you got, I have been stretched. I know the voice of the Father, and I know how to develop you into putting you in the right places to be effective for the kingdom. That's why we are a body. Why? It's because all of us have different giftings, different tools, different assignments, and we all have a different voice to reach people. There's so many people in the earth to where your voice is assigned to somebody. But if you're not around people who've shifted, if you're not around people who've been stretched, then they cannot develop you into processing you into being the best you can be for the kingdom. But what they do is they develop you and train you to be just like them. And ultimately you're not effective because you sound like them. You talk like them. You teach like them. You do everything that they do. And ultimately you're not effective. You're not going to be effective in your household. You're not going to be effective on your job. You're not going to be effective with the boys in the hood. You're not going to be effective with the corporate guy. You're not going to be effective with the fireman, not effective with the police department, not effective with nobody, the kids, the school board. You're not going to be effective in no area because you're walking and acting like somebody else. You're being a clone. You're listening to what they say. Every word that they teach, you hold on to it and you don't develop anything for yourselves. And that's what we're doing today. We're creating clones when Christ have called us to a body, not clones. This is, if you notice, they're trying to clone animals. They're trying to clone animals. The longest lived of an animal that they had was 6 months. Okay. 6 months a clone animal lived. But guess what? They can't get it beyond 6 months. You know why? Because the Father is not in it. And the Father will not let anybody be a clone of something that he's created separate from everything else. The goat is different from the cow. The frog is different from the snake. All of them have their own identities, own purpose in the earth. The dog is not like the cat. You can't have a dog and a cat get together and try to create something that's not going to work. They all are different. Okay. But yet we trying to do it. We trying to sound like this person, trying to teach like that person. We following everything they say. And Christ didn't do that. Christ didn't teach them the same way. He didn't take and have Matthew and Peter. He didn't have them trying to do the same thing. He didn't say, Matthew, okay, now you're a tax collector. I need you to teach Peter how to do taxes. He didn't say that. No, he said, Peter, hey, y'all brothers, Peter, Andrew, you are fishers of men. I'm going to teach you how to fish for men. Matthew, you're going to have a different assignment. All of them got different. Now we also need a devil. You always need a devil around, okay, because a devil is going to keep others in line, keep others straight and show them what not to do and what not to be. So that's why I got to a point where I used to be getting mad at some of these other brothers out here teaching like devils. And guess what? The Father had to deal with me. The Father said, I always kept a devil around. I always kept a devil around to teach and to show and give a demonstration to the others who are kingdom, who have the spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh in them, to show them what not to be like. So if you don't have them around, if you don't have a devil around, you get conceited. Okay, you get conceited when a devil is not around. You begin to think and you get comfortable. You begin to think that everything is cool. Everything all right. I can slack up on my prayers. I can stop fasting. I don't have to do this. I don't have to study. I don't have to put in the prayer time. I don't have to do anything like that. I don't have to do anything because there ain't nothing happening in my life that's detrimental. But when there's a devil around, it seems as though your prayer life increased. You ever notice that? I want y'all to notice this. Okay. I want y'all to notice something here. Okay. I want y'all to notice something. Notice it seems as though every time you start giving attention to everything else, more than you give to Yah, it seems like stuff start happening. It seems like stuff, even in your household. It seems like you and your spouse seem like y'all don't get along like y'all normally do. Or even it seems like the kids are out of control. Or it seems like something always at the job and somebody always trying to do something. Some aggravation always pop up. But when you are staying fastly in your prayer, you're staying steadfast and you're doing the things that you need to do. Your mind is shifted. You've gone through your stretching season. You recognize that it's stretching season. There are some things that happen around you that may be aggravating to you when you aren't going through your process, or you aren't living how the Father tell you to do, or giving him attention that he asks you to give him. When you find out that when you're in that process, there's some things that happens around you that when you're involved or in the process or paying attention to the Father, those minute things don't affect you. But all of a sudden, when you're not doing what you're supposed to do, it seems as though those minute things are magnified and you pay more attention to the minute things, which is minor, but it's major to you, is because you aren't doing what you're supposed to do. Okay. And this is what happens. Let's keep reading here. Look what it says. It says, and he said unto them, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. I'm going to make you something that you aren't yet. You are called to be. It's a whole lot of people who are called to be, but yet they are trying to function in an area that it's not yet time to be. You ain't stretched yet. You haven't even shifted yet, but you're trying to be something that somebody else is doing. You're trying to teach and do certain things that others are doing because it look good, but yet it ain't your season to, okay? It's not your season. I'm going to make you something that you are not yet. In order for me to make you, there has to be time for me to stretch you. I got to have you to shift. Come with me. To come follow me was the shift. To make you something, to make you fishermen is the stretch. The call is the shift. The make you something is the stretch. So first he says, come, follow me. Now I need to see, are you willing to shift? Come on. Everybody not willing to shift. Everybody not willing. So he gives them the call first. He said, come here. Let me see, are these nets? Is this boat? Is this lifestyle that you are accustomed to? I need to see, is it more important to you than what you are called to be? I need to see this. So I'm going to call you first. I'm going to call you first to see, are the things that are around you or the things that you hold dear, that you hold on to, is it more important than what you are called to be? So when you respond to the call, now you've shifted. Now I'm going to make you something that you're not. Making requires stretching. Anything that you make, when you take clay, clay has to be stretched in order for it to be made in what it is destined to be made to. Okay, I want y'all to get this understanding. Okay, clay nearly comes in a block, sometimes in a circle, but it also requires other elements to allow it to shape. That's why when people who are pottery, who work in pottery, and it requires having water. There needs to be water. There needs to be hands. And there needs to be a gentleness involved in the shaping of something that it's called to be, but it has to be developed into it. It has the attributes to be a pot, but right now it's just a circle. It's just a block that is unformed. It has the ability to be whatever it is called to be, whatever the designer or the architect wants it to be, but it has to be shaped. It has to be stretched. But because it has no feelings, okay, it doesn't fight stretching, because we have feelings, because we love some of the things that the Father don't care about. Our stretching season becomes uncomfortable and we fight back. We kick back. It's just like our muscles when it's going through stretching. We try to fight back. The body is trying to respond to something that it's not accustomed to, that it's not used to, that it don't like. It doesn't like the feeling. And the brain kicks in and says, stop. But guess what? Those of us who spend time with the Father, when you spend time with the Father, when your brain and your carnal mind kicks in, your spirit man says, no, I love this. When you're fasting, your body says, I don't like this. I don't like this. I need something to eat. I need something to drink. I don't like this. But the more you are enduring your stretching season, because you've decided to shift, so here comes the stretch, your spirit man start beginning to be stretched. It begins to be pulled. It begins to be sculpted. It begins to be made into something that the Father has decided it needs to be. Ultimately, when your spirit gets stretched and gets shaped into what you're called to be, your flesh, once it settles, once your spirit settles, your flesh can no longer bring that thing back to what it used to be. And now it is permanently shaped into what it's called to be. Man, come on. I need y'all to catch it. Let's keep reading here. Let's keep reading. Look what it says. Matthew chapter number 4 and verse number 20. Look what it says in Matthew 4 and number 20. Here we go. It says, and they straightway left their nets and followed him. They decided that the call was more important than the things. Unfortunately, many think the things and people are more important than the call. When you think that things are more important and people are more important than the call, your response is opposite. You come up with every excuse of why not to do something. You come up with every reason in every way to find yourselves stuck and remain in the comfortable position that you're in. Oh, it's comfortable right here. Or the Father right here. It's comfortable right here. Yeah, that may be true. The Father may be there for a season. But guess what? When it's time for the Father to move, you still there. Because you didn't understand that he was giving you time to shift your mind into whatever direction he wants you to shift to. Whenever he's decided to leave, whatever he's decided to go, whatever area he's deciding to send you into, you've already decided that I'm going to stay right here. My partner's been right here. I'm getting a lot of information right here. I'm getting all this other stuff. And you don't even understand that the Father brought you from the place that you was at and to bring you into a place that may be not comfortable to you, but it may be trying to get something to you. Because ultimately the places that you're at, it may not be your permanent place, but I'll be doggone if I don't get everything that I need to get out of that place. So when it's time for me to go to another, even elevating place, when I elevate higher than the place that I was at, I've been exhausted. Everything that the Father wants me to exhaust in the place that I'm at temporarily until it's time for me to move. And look at this. Let's keep reading. Look what it says in verse number 21. So we see that Peter and Andrew dropped everything and followed him. And going on from thence, he saw two brethren. He's seen another two. He saw another. He saw the first two. Now he doesn't see another two. Guess what they're doing? It says, two brethren, James the son of Zebedee and John his brother, in a ship with Zebedee their father. Wait a minute, hold on. We see Peter and Andrew, all right? They by themselves. They aren't dependent on anybody to feed them. But yet when they heard the call, they dropped being independent and followed Christ, who now they are dependent upon. Woo! Listen, I want y'all to catch it. These two brothers are independent. They ain't got nobody fishing with them. They so used to catching, they are skilled at fishing. They don't need assistance or guidance or anybody else to be with them to catch anything. They're resolved in who they are as master fishermen. But guess what? When he rose up on James and John, his brother, they're in the ship with their father, who they are dependent upon. Wait a minute. Two are not codependent. They're self-reliant. Here's another two who are used to being fathered, who are used to being guided. The other two aren't used to having fathers. They aren't used to being fathered or parented. They're on their own, codependent. They're not codependent. They're doing their own thing. These other two are codependent, self-reliant upon their father. They're in the ship with their father. They're in the process of learning. But guess what happens? Here it is again. It says they're in the ship with their father Zebedee. All right. Mending their nets, and he called them. So the Christ is with two who are self-reliant, calling two who are reliant. This goes to show you right here. Thank you, Ruach. Listen, Moses. Let's go back to Moses. Let's go back to Moses. Moses, take your shoes off, for this is holy ground. I'm calling you. I'm calling you. You are not codependent, Moses. You are out here with your father-in-law and your wife doing your own thing. I'm calling you to do something that's in you. But out here, I'm going to make you before I send you. But guess what? Get Joshua. Joshua is going to be codependent on you. Peter and Andrew aren't codependent on nobody. But yet Christ calls them. And all of a sudden, here's two others who in the position of Joshua, who's codependent on Moses. Now he's going to call them. So now I have two groups of people. One who's codependent, one who's not. So guess what? It's the same way. If the father calls a brother who had never been raised by his father, but raised by a single mother, or to have the choice to have the opportunity to raise his own self, because there's many out here at the age of 11 got to raise their own self. But then you have one who is rich, one who is used to being around somebody that got something, and yet always dependent upon their parents. The father can call both of them together to do ministry together, because the father not looking at where they are at right now. He's looking at where they are called to be. So just because you got a rich family and somebody got a poor family, the father looking at what you've called to be, not what you are presently at right now. Because ultimately it's about the kingdom and it's about your destiny. Okay, let's keep reading. Look at this. Let's keep reading. Verse number 22. It says, and they immediately left the ship and their father, left the ship and their father, left the ship and their father. The first two left the ship. The second two left the ship and their father. So both of them is codependent now on the Messiah to provide for them and to teach them. You can't parent nobody or father nobody if you haven't been through a process of shifting and stretching. Christ went through his process, shifting and stretching, and now he's able to lead others to show them and bring them. Now that they shifted, they're about to get ready to go through a process of stretching. Okay? They're about to go through a process of stretching. They've shifted by answering the call. But yet now they got to go through a process of stretching in which they wouldn't be uncomfortable. That's why I couldn't cast this devil out. Well, you got to be stretched. This type of devil, it takes fasting and prayer. Oh, well, let me teach you in front of the Pharisees. I got to shift you. I got to stretch you. I got to show you all of these things that are going to be uncomfortable, because when I leave, you're going to go through some things that are uncomfortable. But you need to make sure that you're developed. You are stretched while I'm with you, because when I leave and be with you spiritually, you're going to have to endure some things, and you're going to have to be able to reach everybody, because I got to give you a commandment to do the Great Commission. When I give you that commandment, now you got to teach others how to shift and how to be stretched and how to go through the process without giving up. And here comes Paul come on the scene. He is shifted. He met him on Damascus. He called him here. And next thing you know, hey, Paul, why are you persecuting me? Who is this, Lord? Lord, who? And the next thing you know, now Paul got to be stretched. He got to go through getting kicked and beat and spit on. That's a part of his stretching. But guess what? He was able to take his shifting and his stretching and instill the wisdom of enduring through the stretch into Timothy, into Titus. You see that? Everybody has to go through before they can lead. And you can tell the people who have not endured or who's still in their season of stretching and who's fighting being stretched, because they get aggravated. They start lashing out at other people. They started finding all kind of fault in others when the Father is dealing with them and trying to stretch them, but yet they don't see it because they ain't shifted. They haven't totally shifted their minds. So now when it's stretching season for them and they haven't shifted their mind, then they in their stretching process and they can't recognize spiritually when this is a process of stretching for them. So they start blaming everybody else because the Father's stretching them, and they can't see it because their mindset is still in an old season. Their mindset have not shifted into the direction that this is what the Father's doing. And so it causes them to be delayed into going through their process to get to their destiny. And ultimately people go through this thing for 20 years and find themselves blaming everybody else for what's going on when the Father is trying to get them to a place of shifting. When we all go through a place of shifting and stretching, sometimes you can't hang out with your partners the way you hung out with your partners. It's not that you have an issue with them, but the Father have you in a season where he's stretching you, and now you have to make sure that you deal in areas. You have to be more focused. He's called you to a group of people, whether you pastoring or whatnot. Now you have to pour all of that time into that. You can't focus on a lot of things that you did in the season before when you were not in that season you in now. And now people are still in the same season of what they were 5-6 years ago when the Father is trying to take them to a place so that they can reach a nation, but yet they still in a city mindset. The Father can't stretch you and put you in and have your voice be into the nations if you in a place where you still thinking city, you still thinking district, you still thinking local. And the Father trying to get you to a place. He said, I'm trying to make your voice known to the world so I can use you to reach everybody. But yet you still with a mindset of the city. You still teaching and still thinking the way you thought 5-10 years ago. You finding fault in everybody else. But yet the Father said, I'm trying to deal with you, cultivate you, shape you, and bring you into a place because I see the great qualities in you, but you won't allow me to stretch you and to mold you in what you've called to be. So I'm not going to fight with you. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave you right here fighting yourself, and I'm going to go over here across the street, and I'm going to reach Joe over there because Joe over there has already shifted his mind. So now I got to stretch him to be to his destiny and what he's called to be. The same thing what we see here. The two brothers, all right, Peter and Andrew. Okay, the two brothers, Peter and Andrew. All right, let's hear. So, son, I saw someone call an apostle out by name to destroy him for a debate, and the whole status was full of fellow brothers trying to kill him. Is that what we do? Do we not need to be stretched even more? Your thoughts? Yes, we do. We absolutely do. We have to be stretched even more, because what's going on, the things that's going on right now, I saw you talking about it on your live and other things like that. We have to get out of this organized, and I want y'all to understand when I say this. You have organization or organized crime, okay? You have organization or organized crime, all right, where people just gang bang. That's what organized crime is, where you have a group of people trying to control everything and trying to just gang bang. All right, we have to get ourselves, we're going to be kingdom people. Christ called them not to be organized crime mobs, not to be organizationally. He called them to as an organism to function and shift and be stretched and change the way we think and put on the mind of Christ to think kingdom, to think spiritual. And yet we're thinking carnal, all because we look at someone and we say, I don't like the way they dress. I don't like that. I don't like this. And we haven't even allowed the Father to reveal to us what he's doing behind that person. And so that's when we get into the trying to point, oh, this person sound like this, or this person sound like this, or this person doing this, or they teaching that, or, well, I'm an apostle and this, that, or I'm a pastor and you an evangelist. You need to bow to me and all this other stuff. That's not, no, that stuff is madness. That stuff is absolute madness. What's going on? And this is the reason why the Father, like, you know what? Forget it. All right. I'm going to leave y'all. Y'all want to gang bang? I'm going to leave you gang banging over here. I'm going over here because I got some, my word shall be fulfilled. And I'm going to use whoever I got to use. If I got to turn the rocks into people, if I got to make the dog get up and walk like a man, if I got to take the chickens, all right, and drop their feathers off, all right, and send them in a suit and tie in corporate America, my word is going to go forth. All right. So don't get it twisted in thinking that you're the only one, or don't get it twisted in thinking that the Father needs you and he don't have to he can't use nobody else. That's the thing that's going on. All right. All right, Pops. I hope that answered your question. I hope I dealt with it wisely. All right. Let's finish up because I want to read some things here. Okay. Real quick before we get done. And I'm going to open up the live. I hope my brother is still on and anybody else. I'm going to open up the live real quick and I'll let you come on. All right. Let's finish up reading here. Verse number 22. It says, and they immediately left the ship and their fathers and followed them. One was codependent. All right. Two was codependent. Okay. Two was codependent. They with their father fishing. The other two, Peter and Andrew, self-reliant. But guess what? The Father didn't look at who was self-reliant. And the Father didn't look at who was codependent. He said, I'm calling both of you to a greater work, and I have to mold both of you. But guess what? Peter, Andrew, you're going to come in contact with some people who are self-reliant. I cannot use, I don't want to use. Let me say that, because the Father can use who he wants to. I don't want to use James and John to reach people who are not codependent, okay? Because what happens is it may be a place of being uncomfortable to them. So I'm going to call two people who are used to being independent and not relying on people. There are people in this world that want to be independent, that don't want nobody's help. So the Father have to use somebody to reach them because they know their language. They know what they're going through. They know how to reach them, okay, those who are independent. But you also have people who grew up here. And that's why I tell people all the time, I say, how do you reach people who have never experienced a Deuteronomy 28 experience? This is why you got to be stretched. You have to be stretched, because if you're saying, okay, Israel, okay, you'll know that you Israel because you're going through the curses of Deuteronomy 28. What about people who are born in black rich families who never experienced a Deuteronomy 28 situation? How do you reach them? How do you reach them? So now you have these brothers here who they're not familiar with a Deuteronomy 28 experience. They got their daddy with them. They daddy and probably their mother too. They got both parents in the house. Their father is a fisherman. Their father is in their life. He's showing that he's in their life. He's showing that he cares about them. But then you also have two other brothers who may not have had their father in their life. Who may not have had their father in their life, but yet now you have two groups of people because the father is all about reaching people who are, no matter what lifestyle you are in right now, the father is all about reaching people. And if you are just limiting yourself to reaching one group of people, it doesn't mean that that is your primary area. All right. You can reach people in corporate America, but yet be called to the boys in the hood, because you may reach somebody at the 7-Eleven or at the Quick Trip gas station who is a corporate guy. So at least you should be able to have the tools to be able to reach them in case you come across them. But yet the place that you reside in, the place that the father that masterfully used you in, is dealing with the boys and the girls in the hood. All right. And that's no knock. That's no knock. But yet you still should be equipped to reach anybody that the Spirit is moving upon you to speak to. Okay. Now let's keep reading. Let's get to some scripture here. I'm not going to harbor on anything else. All right. I just want to read some scripture dealing with wisdom, and I'll come back tomorrow and do a part 2 to this. All right. But, you know what? I'm going to park it right there because I think the word is going forth. It's been good. I'll come back tomorrow and do a part 2 to this, to the shift and stretching. All right. I'm going to open up the live right now. I hope my brothers are still on, and whatnot, so you can come on the live. Anybody have anything to say regarding the lesson? If it's blessed you, anything else you want to add to, the lesson, to be able to edify the body. Everybody on here, send me an invite and I'll bring you on the live. And, we have about 30 minutes. And I'll bring you on the live. So anybody want to come on, hit the button, hit the invite button, and I'll bring you on. All right. And I'll come back tomorrow and do a part 2, to this lesson. All right. So, I know I got some brothers and sisters. I hope my brother's still on here. I know he hit the button earlier, wanted to bring you on, but I had just got on, soon as he came on, I just got on, the live. So, I wanted to make sure that the word go forth, and whatnot. All right. So let's see here. All right. Give it a moment here. And, I know it has a delay. Excuse me. I know it has a delay on it. So I want to make sure, that I get a brothers and sisters of time enough to hit the button here. If you're just not joining, please definitely go back and watch the replay. If you're just not joining, please go back and watch the replay and whatnot. So, I pray that this lesson really blessed you or whatnot. And, let's see here. All right. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, before I go ahead and end the live. See if anybody want to come on. I don't know if my brother, if he's still on here. Hold on. I'm trying to see where he's at. He was on earlier. Hold on. Let me see here. All right. It was good. I'm going to have to listen over because I kept getting calls. All right. So just start. All right. Hold on here. I just sent him an invite. We were together this weekend in Vegas. So I'm going to send him an invite. Amen. Bless you, Sister Renice. Sister Renice, I'm still waiting on that June date. I'm still waiting on that June. I know we got the June date. We got the date, but I'm waiting on, and I'm pretty sure you probably waiting on the conference room to get back to you, and whatnot. But I am definitely waiting on that so we can get it locked in on the calendar, and whatnot. Okay, he may have gotten off. But I bless all of you. I pray that the Father really moved upon you with this particular lesson. If you're just not joining, got confirmations this AM with message. Okay, yeah, definitely hit me up, message me and whatnot. But I'm gonna get ready to get off here. I thought my brother was still on here. I sent him an invite. I think he jumped off. I saw him on here like 5 minutes ago, but he might have got off. Bless all of you. I pray that you cannot eat without eating from the word of God. For man should not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. I pray that you cannot drink without drinking from the living waters that flow from the Hamashiach. Let the light that is within you shine bright outside of you. And remember to love one another so that the world may know we serve the true and living Yah. All praise to the Most High. Definitely go back and check out the lesson, watch the lesson. I pray that it blessed you. And I will be on tomorrow, same time, with part 2 of this particular lesson. All right. Shalom to you all.